As the cost of higher education continues to rise, one of the most pressing and often overlooked challenges facing students today is the price of housing. Across the country, students are struggling to find safe, affordable places to live while pursuing their degrees. This documentary takes a closer look at the real-life impact of student housing costs, from overcrowded apartments and long commutes to mounting financial stress and difficult choices. Through personal stories, expert insights, and a deep dive into the housing crisis on and around college campuses, we explore how the search for a place to call home is reshaping the student experience.
I'll say my biggest monthly expense is rent so far because I mean we're paying what 670 a month. Yeah, that's I'll say rent. In I have a job, and plus I have savings back from college, so I don't really deem it necessary for me to budget because I also have like quite good money management, like in terms of like saving money. So because I do see like other people having different bank accounts for like their rents, their groceries, and other things, but I don't really see the point in that if like you can manage your money properly. So yeah, I just manage it properly. Yeah, I mean, it is yeah, very much manageable because I mean, I work weekly, and plus we got student finance that I do have savings from before I started university, so I'm pretty much good on all that. I wouldn't say regularly encounter, but I mean, cause the job I do is self-employed. Like every year, I have to do my own tax return. So when it comes to paying that tax, like how normally the like in other jobs the tax will be taken monthly, but mine's taken yearly, so it's like a large chunk just taken at once. So I'd see that's quite like a big expense.
Managing living costs as a student can feel overwhelming, but with the right strategies, it's possible to stay on top of your budget and avoid unnecessary financial stress. Start by tracking all your monthly expenses: rent, utilities, groceries, transportation, and any personal spending. Create a realistic budget that separates your needs from your wants and stick to it as closely as possible. Consider living with roommates to split rent and bills, and look for student discounts on public transit, food, or even utilities. Cooking at home instead of eating out can also save a significant amount of money over time. Use budgeting apps or spreadsheets to monitor your spending, and set aside a small emergency fund if possible. Most importantly, don't be afraid to seek support. Many schools offer financial counseling and housing resources to help students navigate these challenges. Smart budgeting isn't just about cutting back, it's about informed choices that support both your education and your well-being. Budgeting living costs is a daily reality for students, but it also reveals the determination and adaptability of today's students. Through smart budgeting strategies, resourcefulness, and support from their communities, many are finding ways to make it work despite the odds. Still, budgeting alone isn't a solution to the broader issues of rising living costs and limited affordable housing. This journey highlights the importance of financial education, institutional support, and policy changes that prioritize student well-being, because at the end of the day, no one should have to struggle this hard just to learn. A brighter, more accessible future starts with recognizing these challenges and working together to solve them.
Well, depending on what area it is, it's a bit more expensive than others. Our one isn't too bad, but I know some other people that it's a bit more pricier on the prices side, nearing like student accommodation prices as well. So it just depends where you live really in the city. Of course, it's more expensive, but I do think for students, especially coming from like lower backgrounds or whatever, low socioeconomic backgrounds, they should lower the price of rent. Yeah, depending, it can be, of course, there's different variables that can go into play. Like some of the people might have not as nice roommates, or again, like living conditions of the house could be really bad, and then the person that's maintaining the house isn't really answering the email and stuff like that. So yeah, depending really, it can be bad, but not too bad for me. I think some of them don't really understand the how the term works, because a lot of like house contracts start in like the summer, and a lot of people come at September, so they take advantage of people wanting houses by making the lease a lot earlier than it needs to be. So they take a lot more money, because a lot of them start in like June, August, or even some people are doing it now, and it's starting in like May, July time, which is really early, especially because you won't be living in this house. So yeah, I agree. I agree. There should be additional benefits, and feel like I feel like depends what benefits is. If it's like lowering it, maybe giving better plans for people, being more lenient and stuff like that. So yeah.
Interviewing students about their experiences with living costs and housing provided a range of insights into the realities faced by individuals in higher education. The responses covered various aspects, including affordability, access to suitable accommodation, the impact of housing on academic performance, and general well-being. Some students reported challenges with high rent prices, hidden fees, and substandard living conditions, while others shared more positive experiences, particularly when living in university managed housing or with supportive housemates. Overall, the interviews highlighted the diversity of student experiences and emphasized how significantly housing and financial pressures can vary depending on location, personal circumstances, and institutional support. These discussions offered valuable perspectives that contribute to a broader understanding of student life today. This research I've conducted explores the perspectives of former students on the cost of living and housing during their time in higher education, as the affordability and accessibility of student accommodation continue to be central concerns in public and academic discussions. Understanding the long-term impact of these issues is increasingly important. By engaging with former students, this study aims to reflect on how their experiences with rent, utilities, and general living expenses shaped their university life, financial well-being, and post-graduation outlook. These reflections offer a broader, more retrospective understanding of student housing challenges and may help inform future housing policies, university support services, and student financial planning strategies.
My accommodation was good. It was very spacious. I had an ensuite bathroom, double bed. There was enough room for my books. The only downside was that it was quite expensive compared to the prices at other universities. Um, yes, I do believe the rent was reasonable for what I got. I had a garden as well. We had a loft, extra room in the loft as well. So I was paying about £400 a month, which was quite cheap compared to what other people I know are paying in like cities in the UK. No, there weren't any hidden or unexpected fees. The landlord was very transparent with us. Amongst a sense of community amongst residents, there was where I went to university and all the student accommodation, all the houses were on the same roads, so you had a lot of students living all together. So there was that sense of community. If I was choosing housing again, I would decide to choose somewhere that um, was close to the beach, only because I went to university in a sort of a beachy in Cornwall, where there's loads of beaches. But where I lived was quite far away from the beach, so I'd choose accommodation that would be nearer to the beach.
Landlords and estate agents significantly impact student living costs through their control over rental prices, property conditions, and access to housing. In many university towns, high demand allows landlords to increase rent, often beyond what many students can reasonably afford. This drives up the overall cost of living for students, forcing many to rely heavily on loans or part-time jobs. Estate agents further contribute by adding administrative fees and requiring large deposits, which create financial barriers for students. Additionally, estate agents can manipulate housing scarcity by pressuring students to sign contracts early or in groups, reducing their ability to make informed, cost-effective decisions. Together, landlords and agents play a central role in shaping the student housing market, often prioritizing profit over affordability or student well-being. We will now look at the perspective from a landlord and an estate agent's point of view.
I've been working in estate agency for 40 years and I've been renting properties for over 30 years, so I'd say that's a lot of experience. Fortunately, with students, they usually have to enter into a 12-month tenancy agreement, even if their only term length is going to be about 9 months, because the landlords won't accept void periods in the year. Also, they're prejudiced because there's a shortage of rental stock generally, and they're having to compete with private rental sector properties as well. So or tenants I should say. So realistically, students, even if they're only going to use the property for 9 months of the year, usually have to enter into a 12-month tenancy agreement and pay for the 12 months. So basically, tenants will have to pay monthly when they moved in advance, as per a normal tenancy agreement. There are no special terms for tenants, even though they're obviously receiving grants and other funding. Unfortunately, tenants usually have to rely on their parents for the payment of the rent. Even if they're getting grants and various other things, landlords don't tend to be very flexible with the rental payments. They expect the money to be paid on the time it's due every month. Tenants will invariably have to take out a joint tenancy agreement with their parents being responsible for their portion of the rental payments. They will be expected to pay the payments on time, not necessarily in one lump sum, but as long as the landlord receives the whole money when it is due. So you may have 5 tenants and they're all going to pay individually to the landlord on the due date.
Student living costs are a complex and growing concern for many in higher education. As we've seen, rent, maintenance, and availability vary widely, influenced by local markets, institutional support, and national policy. While some students manage to find affordable and stable housing, others face difficult compromises that affect their well-being and academic life. This documentary has aimed to present a range of perspectives and lived experiences, raising important questions about how we house and support the next generation. As the landscape of student living continues to evolve, the conversation remains open and ongoing.